We have a very strong diaspora in the United States. Ireland, I feel, has helped build a modern day US, and in turn the US has helped shape a modern day Ireland. We this year celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, that peace was brought to the island of Ireland. I'm from County Armagh, which was one of the most militarised parts of the world at one time, and the Good Friday Agreement brought peace to my part of the world.
I spent, the first part of my life growing up in Northern Ireland in the Troubles. I'm absolutely a child of the Troubles. I grew up in a small village, 2,000 people on the border, and we saw the Troubles really up close and personal. In fact, one of my really vivid memories, people often ask me about community, given that I run a platform that's all about community, but they ask me about kindness and community. And I always think of the night the first bomb went off in our village, and so the total back end of our house was blown in, all the windows. But the kindness came from our next door neighbors. We were Protestant, they were Catholic. In Northern Irish speak, we should not get along. They're our best friends. The McGuigans came in with plywood, boarded up the back of the house, brought us dinner, and made sure we were okay. And that, to me, was more about the people of Northern Ireland, rather than what you saw in the news.
The Good Friday Agreement, led by George Mitchell, those negotiations, who was appointed by President Clinton, brought together the political parties in the North: unionism, nationalism, loyalism, republicanism.
I went to Belfast by myself in 1972 in the middle of the current Troubles, lots of explosions and lots of activity there, conflict with the British soldiers and the paramilitaries. And so we started an organization that'll be nonpartisan, won't have biases or comfort zones, to learn about a difficult subject. We went from 13 people at the first one to 57 people at the second one. And then we started to invite people to come, in fact, eventually from Ireland. And that was a forerunner to what eventually became the New Ireland Forum, where the politicians and the government people and all of the organizations back home in Ireland decided that they would start talking with each other more, and it led eventually to the peace process and the Good Friday Agreement. So we played an educational role.
As a small nation, we are an ambitious, inclusive, and responsive voice on the world stage. 25 years ago, the Good Friday Agreement brought peace to the island. The US played a key role as a partner for peace, advocating for the agreement and continuing to this day to serve as a guarantor. It's now been over a quarter century since the Good Friday Agreement brought peace to the island, made possible in part by Californian leaders like Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi.
We're very proud of the work that Bill Clinton did for the Good Friday Accords, but of course it was one of the foreign policy issues that meant a great deal to the people of California, too.
Concessions that today might seem hard to accept will seem so much less important in the light of an accord that brings hope and peace and an end to violence.
When we went through a violent conflict, lost many civilian lives in Ireland, the United States basically helped us to build peace through the Good Friday Agreement. And several of your very prominent politicians here from California, including Speaker Pelosi, who came to Ireland most recently and has also been a key actor in those peace-building relationships.
The people of Ireland and the representatives who've come here to California have also, been a voice for individual liberty. They've been a voice for democracy and the need for all of our Western democracies to work together to ensure that freedom is not just in our countries, but around the world.
California has played a strong political role, but also because of what I mentioned earlier in terms of support for Ireland. We have a very healthy traffic of Irish politicians into the United States. We always see that in its most colourful guise around St. Patrick's Day, when we have legions of Irish ministers who arrive in the United States. What's a bit less visible is that we have a constant passage of Irish ministers, senior Irish business people coming here, coming to Washington, talking to people on the Hill,
23 American presidents boast some amount of Irish heritage. One who fully embraced it was President John F. Kennedy.
Protect and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
That Irish connection was that source of pride for us.
I began my career around the time that a former governor of California came to Ireland in 1984, then President Ronald Reagan. He already had identified that the United States could be a partner in building peace on the island of Ireland. And that partnership, which has been bipartisan, we've seen presidents from Bill Clinton to Obama to spectacularly now a very Irish president, Joe Biden, stand by Ireland through very difficult times.
It's exciting to see what's happening in Ireland in terms of freedom, in terms of women's right to choose and issues that relate to marriage. And Ireland is leading the way in so many ways, and that makes a difference here. It makes a difference because the connection is so cultural.
We share, I think, a set of values and principles that respect human dignity and that see that stability and economic development go together. California's been always a leading friend for Ireland in that regard.